Are you looking at the percent on the bill?
Yes.
What is the number? Oh, okay. 288.
218, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, March 18th, 2024. It's approximately 10:30 a.m. I'd like to call this meeting of the State Board of Elections to order. Will we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Amy.
Ms. Ballard Croft?
Present.
Ms. Craig?
Present.
Ms. Genovese?
Here.
Ms. McCrory?
Present.
Mr. Turbin? Mr. Vrett? Vice Chair Donahue? Chair Watson?
Present. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes for the February 21st meeting. Is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the February 21st meeting?
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Ballard Croft?
Yes.
Ms. Craig? Genovese? Ms. McCrory?
Yes.
Mr. Turbin?
Yes.
Mr. Vrett?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue? Chair Watson?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is report of the General Counsel under campaign disclosure, settlement offers. I understand that Attorney Boone or Bond is in traffic. That's number one.
That was the last I heard. I don't believe he's an attorney. I believe he's just a representative of the committee. As Mr. Bond arrived?
Okay, well, we'll just skip number two and come back to it.
Okay.
Madam General Counsel, if you could begin with number 2, SB versus Friends of Sugar.
Absolutely. Case 22JQ136. I have appearances on file by attorneys Ross Beckler and Priscilla Centeno. The committee is offering $100, which is 3.33%, to settle a $3,000 fine for late filing of the June 2022 quarterly report. The offer is compliant in terms of balance and receipt ratios, and although it is below 50%, the committee is low dollar. The $100 offer represents 51.4% of the committee's current fund balance, which is $194.39. Therefore, I recommend accepting the offer as it comports with settlement guidelines.
Can counsel stand under this one? Okay, that's
Feeling Mike.
what is that?
Ceiling mic.
Microphone, a ceiling microphone, okay? Can you identify yourself for the record? Is this the only counsel that we have on this case?
It's also me, I'm observing. Ross Beckler.
Okay.
Observing.
Hold on a second. You're Mr. Steckler.
Yes.
You're observing her.
We both have our appearance. We're both on it. She's doing it.
I'm a baby attorney. He's teaching me.
Okay, all I want to know is if you're on the other side.
No.
We're, okay. Identify yourself.
Sure. Priscilla Centeno, on behalf of Friends of Sugar. CENTENO.
Thank you.
C-E-N-T-N-O.
Yes. So this is just a low dollar amount account board, and she had been assessed a $3,000 fine before. She paid that fine. She hasn't been using the account any longer, so we were proposing a $100 settlement offer. since her account only has $194.
Does anyone have any questions for council? Is there a motion to, oh, I'm sorry, Madam Vice Chair. Do you have a question, Madam Vice Chair?
Gracie.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the...
Second?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the motion. Can we?
Second the recommendation of the general counsel.
Thank you.
Springfield, we're having a very hard time hearing you. You keep cutting in and out.
Vice versa. Sorry. We're having trouble hearing you too.
Do you want to repeat the motion for, the court reporter here in Chicago, please?
I make a motion that we accept the recommendations of our general counsel for a fine of $100.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Bancroft?
Yes.
Ms. Craig?
Yes.
Ms. Genovese?
Yes.
Ms. McCrory?
Yes.
Mr. Turvin? Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Vice Chair? Chair Watson?
Yes,
Motion passes.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, you want to go back?
It was not such a doesn't matter. So shall I move on to cases in which we have an appearance on file? That's okay?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, wonderful. So these are appeals of campaign disclosure fines in which the hearing officer recommendation is to deny the appeal. The first is 2A6. We're calling first any cases with appearances on file. SDE versus Vernon Township Republicans, 22 AD 257. We have an appearance on file by the committee's chair, Marco Sukovic. And that's S-U-K-O-V-I-C. And Mr. Sukovic, if you could stand under that microphone with the green, that would be helpful.
Not from all the chairs.
Can we have the spelling of that last name again?
S-U-K-O-V-I-C. And I'm going to read my recommendation, and then you'll have a chance to address the board. So the committee is appealing penalties totaling $2,625 for late reporting of a $1,000 contribution on October 23rd, 2022, a $2,374.80 contribution on November 18th, 2022, and two contributions of $1,988 on December 14th, 2022, first reporting them on a quarterly report received by the board on January 17th, 2023. That makes the contributions 49, 31, 15, and 15 days late. The committee says its treasurer suddenly departed, leading to the late disclosures, and asks the board to be lenient given the committee's violation-free history. I agree here with the hearing officer's recommendation to deny the appeal for lack of an adequate defense.
Can I make a statement?
Mr. Sukovic, proceed.
Thank you. I recently became the chairman of the organization in 2022. If you look at the cash on hand balances of the organization before I came in, this is an all-volunteer organization in Lake County, made up of a precinct committeemen, of which folks are looking to obviously fill these key roles in all these committees across the state. When I came in, one of the main things I wanted to do was make our organization more relevant so that we could help turn out and increase voter engagement and participation. That included raising more money. That was just a necessity to try to engage new people. We started to actually raise money, and of course that meant filing requirements. And it just so happened that these violations, when they occurred, all happened during the same window of time when we had a long-standing chairman basically resign, and we were in the process of training a new person. I think that, you know, in the event this organization, who before not really had more than $1,200 cash on hand, now we're an organization that is looking to do more and is raising money, and we're committed to putting in the right practices. We have a new treasurer. He's since completed the necessary training that the State Board of Election has offered. I have a signed document that can attest to that on his behalf. Certainly, this is not anything that we wanted to do. It was inadvertent. We want to have an impact that gets people out to vote, not to, there's no other reason for why we didn't report it other than we just weren't prepared like we should have been. I would propose that maybe we could consider a settlement offer. Obviously, we made these mistakes, and I think that we should, I don't think we're looking to be off the hook for that, but this would just represent a major blow in our organization who's, again, an all-volunteer group that's looking to make a difference. And I think that the thrust of it would be that we don't want to discourage these groups from trying to make an impact in the way that we've tried.
Do you have a proposed settlement offer?
I do. Yeah, I have a document that calls for about 50% of the assessed fine.
And how much is that?
That's $1,312.50, if I'm not mistaken. We'll pull it up.
So, I need to confirm this is their first set of violations, and we're in a position to accept a settlement offer?
So this is their first set of violations. While their receipts ratio is above 50%, their balance ratio is below 50%. So I can't recommend accepting the settlement offer, but the board has discretion to do as it sees fit.
I would make a motion to accept the general counsel's recommendation and deny the appeal and accept the settlement offer.
My recommendation is to deny the settlement offer.
Well,
I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about that.
Deny the appeal and accept the settlement offer offered by Mr. Sukovec.
Is that a second?
Who seconded?
Who's second, please?
Member Donahue.
Seconded by Vice Chair Donahue. Roll call, please. Are there any other questions?
Just to confirm the amount, please. I'm sorry, I didn't get 1,000. It was $1,000.
$1,312.
50 cents, correct.
Okay, roll call, please, Amy.
Ms. Ballard-Croft? Ms. Craig?
Yes.
Ms. Genovese?
Yes.
Ms. McCrory? Mr. Durbin? Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue?
Yes.
Chair Watson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sukovec. Madam General Counsel.
The next case with an appearance on file, 2A8 SBE versus Citizens for Will Tillman, 23 MQ 51. We have appearances on file by Mr. Seckler and Ms. Centeno again. The committee is appealing a $500 civil penalty for the 59-day late filing of the March 2023 quarterly report. The committee has a stayed penalty of $75 for late filing of the June 2021 quarterly report, for a total of $575 in assessment. Attorney Centeno represented the committee at the hearing and argued Mr. Tillman was unaware until preparing to file the June 2023 quarterly report that the individual tasked with filing the prior report had failed to do so, and the committee has since availed itself of the treasurer training provided by the board. I agree with the hearing officer's recommendation to deny the appeal for lack of a statutory defense, but the committee has also submitted a settlement offer in the event that the appeal is denied. The committee is offering $139.23 to settle $575 in fines, which is 24.21% of the total and 100% of the committee's current balance. As the balance and receipt ratios are favorable and the committee is low dollar, the offer comports with settlement guidelines, and I recommend accepting it.
Counsel, identify yourself, please.
Sure, Priscilla Centeno for Citizens of Will Tillman.
Proceed.
Just as your counsel stated, it was an honest mistake. He didn't realize that his treasurer didn't file it. When he went to go file the next one himself, he realized it wasn't filed, and he filed both on the date. That was the first time he's ever been late on anything. And, there's really no excuse other than the person didn't do it, and he rectified that once he found out.
So you're willing to give us all the money that you have, $139.33?
He is, and he's even willing to close the account because he wasn't really using it, so that was another.
Any, questions for the board members?
No, I move to accept the recommendations of general counsel, accept the settlement offer, deny the appeal, and accept the settlement offer. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Amy.
Ms. Ballard Croft? Ms. Cray? Ms. Genovese? Ms. McCrory? Mr. Turbin? Mr. Brett? Vice Chair Donahue? Chair Watson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, council.
Agenda item 2A9, SBE versus Friends of Greg Johnson, 23 AM 31. We have an appearance by Mr. Johnson. And sir, if you can stand under the microphone. I'll read my recommendation and then you can comment to the board. Here the committee is appealing a total of $3,000 in civil penalties for failure to file 2 separate A1s for contributions, both dated January 23rd, 2023, first disclosing them 52 days late on the March 2023 quarterly report. The committee says the contributions were entered into the IDIS system on the date of deposit, which was corroborated by the IDIS system, but there is no record of the committee actually filing the A1s, and the committee is not asserting an electronic filing defense. Here, I agree with the hearing officer's recommendation to deny the appeal for lack of a statutory defense. And here, in the event that the appeal is denied, the committee has submitted a settlement offer. The committee is offering $1,500, which is 50%, to settle a $3,000 fine for late filing of 2 A1s during the first quarter of 2023. The offer does not meet the balance or receipt ratio requirements, but does meet the 50% standard. This committee is not low dollar. Therefore, I do not recommend accepting the settlement due to the ratios, but the board has authority to settle under Section 9-10G as it sees fit.
Mr. Johnson, identify yourself, please.
I am Greg Johnson, the candidate.
Proceed.
Thank you. The reason I'm offering the settlement or asking for the
Keep your voice up. The court reporter's got to get it.
Oh, I apologize. The reason I'm asking for the settlement is this is at the end. I have appeared before the board before. My previous treasurer made some mistakes. Our very first appeal hearing on the first A1 that he failed to complete the process on, our first hearing was on January 29th of last year, in which case this had already been, these reports had already went in. So initially, if this report had come before, we would have offered this in the initial appeal before. But that's why I'm asking. I do appreciate all your work and your training. I have a new treasurer and new compliance officer. But that is what I'm offering and asking for the 50% reduction. Is because the treasurer did not know the mistake we were making. We did not know the mistakes we were making because we were still pending our very first appeal on the 29th of January.
Any questions? Is there a motion to accept the $1,500 settlement offer?
And deny the appeal.
I'll make a motion to accept general counsel's recommendations and deny the appeal, and then further accept the settlement offer of $1,500.
Here, second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please, Amy.
Ms. Ballard Croft?
Yes.
Ms. Cray?
No.
Ms. Genovese? Ms. McCrory? I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes.
Mr. Turbin? Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue?
No.
Chair Watson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue. I thought so, okay.
Mr. Johnson, you got to take care of business. This is now how many violations, so you need somebody to really.
I have a new guy too, and thank you for the training. It's been a learning experience for me to train them.
Educated on this on your team.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thanks, you guys.
And I understand Mr. Vaughn has arrived. So I'm going back to call agenda item 2A1, SCE versus Friends of Mark Bone, 22 AF 43. Mr. Bone, if you could step underneath the green light, that would be helpful. And I'm sorry, am I mispronouncing your last name?
Bonnie.
Bonnie, okay, that is definitely a mispronunciation, B-O-N-N-E.
Compliment. You do it.
Sounds good. Well, I'm going to read my recommendation, and then you'll have an opportunity to address the board. The committee is offering $1,000, which is 36.36% of the outstanding fines, which are $2,750 for 4 A1 violations during the third quarter of 2022. The offer meets the receipts ratio, is a little bit short on the balance ratio, and is below 50%, and the committee is not considered low dollar. Therefore, I recommend denying the settlement offer because it does not comport with our settlement guidelines.
Mr. Bonnie, you want to identify yourself for the record, please?
Sure. Mark Bonnie, it's B-O-N-N-E. I am alderman in Rockford, Illinois, and the committee was formed when I ran and was elected in 2021. And so I first apologize for being late. I'm not very far off knee replacement surgery, so walking from parking would, among other things, took me longer to get here than I expected. But what happened here was I'm my own finance person. I've filed all the reports myself. Never had any issues until this particular situation, which was, so these and the reason I was offering $1,000 is because there were 4 $1,000 contributions, but they all were made in conjunction with a single event. And so they all were reported late. But it's almost as if they were one donation. You know, it wasn't like I had an opportunity after the first one at $250 to wise up, and it wasn't even a wising up situation. I knew, you know, $1,000 contribution had to be reported within 5 days. I think what happened was my mother, who has Alzheimer's disease, had been living with me at the time I ran, but is now in a memory care facility. Shortly after she went there, the weekend, this was fundraiser, was at the end of August, right before Labor Day weekend. My mom was hospitalized, and her power of attorney, her medical power of attorney, her only, there are 2 other brothers, but the responsibility is all on me. I deposited everything, and what I normally do is photograph the checks and then report them after I deposited. And I simply forgot. I didn't photograph the checks and, you know, got embroiled in what was going on with my mom. And honestly, I didn't even, it wasn't like when the 5 days was up, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to file. It didn't even dawn on me that I forgot to file until I did my quarterly report and realized, oh boy, and knew it was coming. But I guess my rationale for the $1,000 again was, you know, if these had been over a period of time, I think, you know, the increasing amount of the fine would be easier to accept. But since they were all simultaneous, I guess I'm asking if you could treat them all as if they were one offense instead of 4.
Okay.
Can you increase your offer by $300?
Right.
I couldn't.
Will you?
Yes. Yeah, if that's, yeah.
$1,375.
I didn't know about the 50% thing. Is that what?
50%.
That is the 50%? Okay. Sure.
All right.
Better than the original amount. Yeah.
Any more questions? By the board members, is there a motion with respect to the $1,375 settlement offer by Mr. Bonnie?
I move to accept general counsel and deny the appeal and accept the settlement offer of $1,375.
There's actually not an appeal pending.
Oh, sorry.
Just a settlement offer.
Settlement offer, sorry. We've already done that, right? We've already.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy, please.
Ms. Mallory-Croft? Ms. Craig?
Yes.
Ms. Genovese?
Yes.
Ms. McCrory?
Yes.
Mr. Turbin? Mr. Vrett?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue?
Yes.
Chair Watson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
So we have 3 additional cases in which I need to provide some explanation before the board votes, but first I'd like to make sure, is there anyone else here on an appeal who hasn't been called? Is there anyone in Springfield on an appeal?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so I'd like to first call a case in which the hearing officer recommendation was to grant the appeal. I disagree with the hearing officer recommendation here. It's agenda item 2A3, FBE versus Citizens for Eric Spandy, 23 MQ 204. The
Is
committee.
there anyone here on behalf of Mr. Spandy?
The committee is appealing a $100 civil penalty for the 4-day late filing of the March 2023 quarterly report. And the committee also has an unpaid civil penalty of $10 for late filing of the December 2022 quarterly report. The chair, who is also the candidate, had a severe stroke in October 2022 and did not return home from the hospital until January 2023. These violations were in April of 2023. The candidate also says he plans to close the committee. I understand here the hearing officer was sensitive to Mr. Spandy's medical situation and recommended granting the appeal for that reason, but I disagree with granting the appeal and recommend denying it for lack of a statutory basis. This board has never accepted medical reasons as sufficient to deny, or rather grant an appeal, but instead has normally used it as a reason for settlement.
Okay, the first thing I want to say is that I read here that there was a severe stroke.
Yes.
There was a severe stroke resulting in 18% brain damage. And I think that that's severe enough for us to consider.
We don't have any basis to consider any medical defenses based on statute. We're mandated.
Well, we do have a discretion, however.
We have discretion on fines, I think, but not on whether or not we deny the appeal.
Okay, so, how much money are we asking this man that can't, function in his brain? What do we want him to do?
So this, the fine is only $100, and he had a previously unpaid fine of $10. So the board could consider reducing
Waiving the
or
fine
waiving
altogether?
And I don't know if that would be to the $100 fine, as the previous $10 fine was not appealed.
Okay, so that could actually be to both, is that correct?
That is a possibility.
Mm-hmm. So, is there a motion to then, is there any other conversation? Any other board members wish to add to the transcript in this matter?
Yes, ma'am. If the committee is going to dissolve, why do we need to what's the best way to resolve the issue? If they're not going to continue for 2 years, there's nothing. What's the motion for something like that?
That's another option, is to deny the appeal and let the fine abate in 2 years. Mr. Spandy is not here to tell us if he's planning to run for office in the next couple of years or not. I assume in his medical condition, the answer is no, but I don't know because he isn't here. But that is another option, would just be to deny the appeal and let him know that once he closes the committee, the fines will abate in 2 years.
I would make that motion, and if for some reason he does decide to run for office, the establishment of his committee. But I think at this point I would accept the last recommendation from the general counsel. Second.
I didn't get the middle part of your motion.
I'm sorry. I would accept the general counsel's recommendation that we deny the appeal and encourage him to dissolve his committee.
Encourage him to dissolve?
Inform him of his ability to dissolve.
Hang on, we've got a better, Rick's gonna make a better motion.
I have no idea what you said.
Okay, so, do I understand that you wish to withdraw your motion as heretofore stated and restate a motion, is that correct?
Correct.
Proceed with the restated motion, please.
I make a motion that we deny the appeal, but waive the fine and be done with it. And what happens was just gonna happen.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Ballard Croft? Ms. Craig?
No.
Ms. Genovese?
Yes.
Ms. McCrory? Ms. McCrory?
Quite honestly, I don't know if it's a proper motion. So I can't vote on something that I don't know if it's a proper motion. Are we defining, I abstain.
The motion was to deny the appeal and waive the fine, which, the general counsel has already indicated we can do.
And does that mean that the $10 unappealed fine remains pending?
Yes.
Okay, right, so this would be waiving the $100 fine, but still requiring payment of the $10 fine, as well as denying the appeal?
I will withdraw my abstain vote and vote yes.
Mr. Turbin?
Amy?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue?
Yes.
Chair Watson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Amy.
Moving on to our most complicated appeal of the day. It's agenda item 2A4. The hearing officer recommends a denial, and I disagree in part. The committee is appealing assessments totaling $525 for the 15-day late disclosure of two separate contributions of $1,000 each. The committee's treasurer's affidavit swears the committee reported the contributions based on the dates on the checks rather than the dates of deposit, which are the relevant dates under Section 9-10 of the Election Code. The hearing officer recommends denying the appeal due to a lack of supporting documentation from the bank. But as we don't strictly follow the rules of evidence in our administrative proceedings, under Rule 125.80A, I believe the sworn statement is sufficient evidence to find by a preponderance of the evidence that the relevant checks were not deposited until the dates provided in the affidavit. Therefore, I recommend granting the appeal in part, finding that the contribution from IBEW PAC Voluntary Fund was only 10 days late rather than 15 days late, resulting in a fine of $100. And the contribution from ULLICO Management Company is only 9 days late, resulting in a fine of $225. So this would reduce all fines to a total of $325. This is $200 less than the amount on the assessment notice. As to the remaining fines, the committee claims they are attributable to a lack of understanding of the applicable filing rules, and that portion of the appeal should be denied for lack of a statutory basis. Oh, I also recommend ordering the committee to amend its June 2023 quarterly report to reflect the accurate dates for both contributions.
Is there anyone here? Or Springfield?
Oh, but I would move we accept the recommendations of the general counsel and reducing the fine to $325.
And ordering the committee to amend its June 2023 quarterly report.
Just didn't read that, it's here on my. Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Member Cray seconded the motion.
I didn't hear a response to the general counsel's question.
We amend,
Pardon?
the committee needs to amend their 2023 quarterly report.
Thank you.
And then Member Cray seconded the motion.
Thank you.
Roll call, please, Amy.
Ms. Ballarcroft?
Yes.
Ms. Craig?
Yes.
Ms. Genovese?
Yes.
Ms. McCrory?
Yes.
Mr. Turbin?
Yes.
Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue?
Yes.
Chair Watson?
Yes.
Motion
Yes.
passes.
That was number 4, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, thank you. The one other case I'd like to highlight, it's 2A10, SBE versus Fremont Township Republican Organization.
What about 2A5?
We can do a group motion for 2A5 and some of the other remaining ones.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Would you like to handle those first, or would you like to handle A10 first? A10. Okay, so that's 23JQ255, Fremont Township. This committee was before the board in December 2023 in a similar case. Here, the committee is appealing a $1,000 fine for the 52-day late filing of the June 2023 quarterly report. The committee has been a mandatory electronic filer since 2018, but the report was filed on paper in July 2023. It was not filed electronically until the committee received a letter in September 2023 notifying that the filing was still considered outstanding, at which time the committee then filed electronically. The committee says it would have filed electronically sooner had it been timely notified that the paper filing had been rejected. But in December 2023, Mr. Newman, our Director of Campaign Disclosure, had confirmed that in fact a notice did not go out until September. So under these circumstances, last time the board denied the appeal but waived the fine, and the hearing officer and I both recommend doing the same in this instance.
Are there any other questions in Springfield?
No, ma'am, but I would make a motion that we accept the hearing officer and the general counsel's recommendation that we deny the appeal, waive the fine because it was not properly notified electronic filing report. Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Ballarcroft?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Ms. Genovese?
Yes.
Ms. McCrory?
Yes.
Turbin?
Yes.
Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue?
Yes.
Chair Watson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And who seconded the motion, please?
Member Craig,
Thank you.
welcome.
Roll call, Amy, please.
We
just did a roll call? Okay. The motion passed?
It did, yes.
Okay, thank you.
At this point, if the board would like to consider a group motion to deny the appeals in 2A5, 2A7, 2A11, 2A12, and 2A13. That is my recommendation.
I move to accept the general counsel's recommendations on 2A5, 2A11, 2A12, and 213, deny the appeal.
2A7.
Oh, sorry, 2A7 as well.
Is there a second? Is
Second.
there a second on the denial?
Member Cray seconds the motion.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Ballarcroft?
Yes.
Ms. Craig?
Yes.
Ms. Genovese?
Yes.
Ms. McCrory?
Yes.
Turbin?
Yes.
Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue?
Yes.
Chair Watson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Amy. Next, what is the consideration of the random audit selection?
That's correct. This year, the Division of Campaign Disclosure is proposing that the board audit 3% of committees. That is the maximum amount permitted by statute, and that is the same amount that was done last year. So Mr. Newman or Mr. Nauman are both available from the Division of Campaign Disclosure if you have specific questions. But again, 3% is the maximum that the board may audit.
Do we have any questions, board members, for Mr. Newman or Mr. Nauman?
None here.
Does this require a board vote?
Yes.
Marnie?
Make a motion to require 3% of the active political committees to perform internal audits per the direction of the Board of Elections. Second?
And that's internal random audits, is that correct?
Correct.
Roll call, please, Amy.
Ms. Mallard Croft.
Yes.
Ms. Craig.
Yes.
Ms. Genovese.
Yes.
Ms. McCrory.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Brett.
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue.
Yes.
Chair Watson.
Yes. The motion passed?
Motion passes.
Thank you, Amy. Next is payment of civil penalty assessments. That's informational on page 89, is that correct?
That's correct.
So should we need a motion now to go into executive session for complaints following a closed preliminary hearing?
That's correct, and I recommend citing as part of that motion, Section 9-21 of the Election Code and Section 2C4 of the Open Meetings Act, which allow these complaints to be heard in closed session.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mallard Croft.
Yes.
Ms. Craig.
Yes.
Macy.
Yes.
Corey.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Mr. Brett.
Yes.
Vice Chair Donahue. Chair Watson.
Yes. Do we want to take a brief